ideas in this, and that's what patience and knowledge, you learn, probably learn, stored in your mind, so it's all been.
Amen. Great, thanks very much. Okay, let's see, class 9, built-in functions. Is this the one? Yeah, that's it. So let's go ahead and download this file. Transactions.xlsm. And we'll save it and we will unblock it. Still fetching. Interesting. Still fetching. There it is. Download file. I'll save it. I'll put it in my download. Sure. Let me open up the location. I will right click it and unblock it. And I'll open it up. Let's see what we have going on today. Problem with my account. Okay, so here is a list of people. It looks like names over here, phone numbers. We have some addresses. We have some emails. Okay. And I think from a code perspective, if I open up my Visual Basic, what do we have here? We have some original codes. We have some code here in Module 1. And we have an option explicit. I don't know if we've talked about this yet in the class. Can anybody, does anybody know what option explicit means in our code here? This one comes, was it supposed to do something? Yes, that's right, explicitly. That's the key word. This comes if this option is checked in your tools option. If I go to tools, options, and the second option here in this code settings window, it says require variable declaration. If this is checked, then any new module that we add automatically includes option explicit. And what that means is it only uses a variable if you define it. So we have to make our variables explicit. That's what that option explicit is. We've got to make them variable explicit. We have to define it before we can use it. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is that all the properties with this variable are the ones that we expect, right? We know what a long variable type is, right? It's a certain amount of data, certain length. And so that helps us know what to expect. Something is long. We can add it, we can subtract it, we can do all these operations with it. We know what the methods and properties are of this variable because we've defined it. If option explicit is not there, that can actually be problematic for us. So I recommend using option explicit from here on out, which means it will require us to create all the variables that we want to use. That's what that is. So what do we have here? This looks like we're doing something with the data. This is a sub called convert data. We're going to create a variable dim r as long. We'll set that r equal to 2, probably because the data starts on row 2. And then we have a do loop here. Who can tell me what this do loop is doing? What is this do loop doing? Anybody? Spencer?
Well, it looks like what it's doing is, it looks like it's at least going into this way.
Yeah.
And it wants to list, I'm not sure what the txn.cells value is, but it does want to put a certain value going down.
Yeah, very good. What is txn.cells r2.value? What is that referring to?
It's referring to B2.
B2.
Like, but I don't know. So like obviously it's using PPA
Yeah, we're using the cells notation. That's exactly right. How'd you know it was B2? Yeah, the first time R goes through, right? The first time through this loop, what's R? R is going to be 2, so that's going to be row 2. Why row 2? Because that's our data. And then 2 here is referring to the column. So yeah, that's B2 right there.
So then the first part of that, go back to R1. So I'm guessing R equals 2, that would be, let's be 1.
This right here is going to be 2 because it sets 2 right here.
But I'm saying like TXS, so the one first, the one right above.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, the one next to it, yeah.
Gotcha.
So that one that is 2, 1, we can interpret it as would be first cell and full name.
That's right, because we're on row 2. So this is going to be row 2. This 1 is referring to column 1. So this is actually referring to A2. This is saying until that cell is blank. And the R is the row, so it starts at row 2, but this number 1 here is referring to the column. Which column number, right? Row, comma, column in the cells notation. Yeah, what is this TXN? Is this a cell? Is this, what did you call it? Named range. Is this a named range? A good guess. Chad is wrong. It could be. I mean, it could be. In this case, it's not. It's not that it can't be. It's that in this case, it's not. It's actually referring to the code name of the transaction sheet. How about that? So we have transactions here. This is the name of the tab, right? But we have a TXN. This is the code name for that sheet. So this is like the shortcut to referencing the sheet. Please.
So then if you were to use, for example, like WMI or year, would be like sheet3.cell.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So this one is sheet 3, this one is sheet 4. We would use that. And why is this preferable? Why is it better to use the code name here instead of the tab name? Branch got it, because somebody could change it. So somebody could change that. You know, a user, if you wanted to share your spreadsheet with somebody and they want to run the code, if they change the tab name, your code could break, right? So it's better, more reliable in my mind, to use the code name of these sheets when we're referencing a sheet. And it's also very helpful because it recognizes the sheet, right? We don't have to do this workbook dot worksheets and then put in the name transactions, right? It's much more concise by saying, oh yeah, let's just use, instead of all of that, we'll just use TXN because that's the code name for the sheet. Okay, great. So if we run this, what do we expect to happen? Well, all we're doing here is we're just debugging.print. That's basically all we're doing. We're doing debug.print. We'll print the row number we're on. We'll print the value of column 2 for that row, which is in this case is the full name. We will increment the R, so we'll go to the next row. And then we have our do events. This is good, just in case we want to avoid a unending loop, which by the way, Peter, I have run your sheet, that file, like 20 times. And I realized that the names are flipped. The procedure names, I think you have to flip those names back. I think that was one issue, but there's still another issue, so I'm still finding that out. But it was, anyways, my point was it was an endless loop and I had to kill it like 20 times every time I ran it. So the do events helps us avoid or get out of an endless loop. So if I just run this, I'll click F5, which is the same thing as coming up here and pushing this play button. What do we find out? Okay, what it's done is we've done this loop, we've gone through, and it's printed R, which is the row number, and it's printed the name. And if we come down here, right, what's row 195? That's going to be Dale Whiten, and there's Dale Whiten. There we go. Okay, so far so good, right? On the scale of 1 to 5, tell me how comfortable you are with this do loop. You're like, okay, I can recognize it, I can see it, I understand the lines, I understand which column it's referring to. Okay, I see about 3, 4. Okay, the average is about maybe 3.9, 4.2. Okay, great. Okay, we're getting there. Please.
So, probably, so the debug print R just takes the value and fit into.
That's it. Whenever we use debug.print, all we're doing is we're going to print to this immediate window.
Okay, so then for debug print, then it doesn't put any values if you're expecting a whole line of code that was values. Does debug print do that as well, or just pure?
Nope. Just the immediate window. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good point. Okay, good.
Yeah, so
Yeah, exactly. So what we have here is a list of data, and we're going to use this data, much like we did on the homework assignment, if you've seen that, to kind of parse an email address, parse it out, separate all the parts out. We're going to go through and parse this data. So we'll separate out the first name, last name. We'll transform the phone number. We'll parse out this location information and see if we can't also do some parsing of this email over here. And we're going to do this in VBA. And that's kind of the goal. We're just going to use this information to help us use how to use some of the built-in functions that are provided in VBA. Okay. So one of the things we're going to do here, and let me come down here for to demonstrate one of the functions that we're going to use, is we're going to use the inString function, which is instr. And I'm going to come down to the immediate window. I'll type in question mark instr, short for inString. And let's just take one of these names, for example. There's a couple of options here. The first option in square brackets is start. Where do you want to start? And in this case, I'll start with 1, the first character in the string. What string do you want to start with? Let's start with a string. I'll just take somebody's name over here. Catherine Gannon. Let's use this name here, and it could be any name or any string for that matter, just to walk through what this inString function is. This is a built-in function. So what we're doing here is I've typed in 1 comma and then the string in quotes. The next option is string 2. This is saying, what do we want to look for? And in this case, what we're going to look for is we're going to look for this comma space. And so this gets a little bit weird with everything here. What this is saying here is, here's my string. So let me see if I can highlight the difference here between the quotes and the commas, right? This is the second argument inside of this inString function, right? Everything inside these double quotes is the actual string that we're searching in. And then we have a comma here. The comma is delineating the next part, or the third argument of this string. The third argument is also inside double quotes. And what are we looking for? We're looking for a comma space. As I look at some of this data over on the left, it looks like all of these have a comma space. Why a comma space? I mean, I could do a space, right? If I did a space to look for between the last name and first name, it's possible that there may be multiple first names or multiple last names separated by a space. But if I do a comma space, I'm pretty confident that that's going to split this text field between the first and last name. So this third argument inside the double quotes is a comma and a space together. Okay, so when I hit this and I hit enter, it gives us a 7. What does that 7 mean? 7? Where did that 7 come out? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, very good. Excellent. That's right. That comma is at the 7th character. Yeah, very good. If we search for something that's not in the string, what if I search for the letter Z? Then inString returns 0. It's like, nope, it's not there. So one way to look for something inside of another string is to use this inString function. What if I wanted to find the letter A? If I searched for A, it's going to give me 2. What does 2 represent? Well, there's an A right here. What if I wanted to find another A? what I could do is I could search, instead of searching this first character, I could search the third character. If I start searching on the third character and I search for A, then it's going to give me this A. This is the fifth character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this string. So it returns 5.
Why is it third?
I can do second. If I did second here, what would it give me?
I would think it would give the
Yeah, it was. Yeah, very good. Because this is the character to start your search on. So I'm telling it, start searching on character 2, which in this case is that A.
Oh.
It says, oh yeah, I found the A, that's the one, so I'm going to return it 2. Yeah.
I was thinking of that.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So if I wanted to search for this one, what if I wanted to get this A? How many A's are there? There's 3. I would want to start my search after the 5. I could do 6, 7, 8, and it would give me which character is this A, which turns out to be the 10th character overall. So this is the in-string function. There's another option here at the very end that we can include. Let's see, can we see it? If I do a comma, I can compare, and there's different things to compare here. One is binary compare, and this is, if I wanted to use this option here, I could just click on it or type it in. This is an interesting one. So in other words, if I have a VB binary compare option inside of my in-string function, let me change my start digit back to 1. I've got this name, and if I search for a lowercase g with the VB binary compare option, what do you think is going to return?
I'm guessing it's going to return 0. I'm thinking the
Beautiful. That's exactly right. It's going to return 0 because there's no lowercase g. When it's referring to the binary word here, it's actually referring to, if we do this, what's the ASCII code of a G? Sorry, I think it needs quotes. It's actually looking for that binary. It's a 103. What's the ASCII code of a capital G? That's 71. And so when we use the binary compare, it's going to say it's looking for the exact match, right? It's going to go down to that binary code, and if it's not the same ASCII code number, then it's not going to find it. So if I click enter here, it says nope, can't find it. So VB binary compare is basically looking for an exact match. Another option is text compare. If we did text compare, then that gives us a comparison. Yeah, I found you a G. Here's the first G. It acknowledges the fact that it's indifferent when it comes to case. Uppercase or lowercase, it's going to be the same. The other option, what was the other option? Something like a database compare. I've actually never used that. And I think that's using whatever database that you're using in the program. You can have a specific way that that database sees the data, and you can use that to compare, which is, I've never used it, but it's there. Database compare option. But this is what we're going to use. So let's write some code here, and let's find this comma space, and let's see if we can split this full name into the first and last name and get it to write into the sheet. So I'll come over here to underneath the debug print. I'll add some lines of code. And let me also add, before I forget, some variables here. Let's do a couple of variables. Let's do POS for position. We'll do dim POS as integer, and that says what position it is in the string. And let's do a temp. Let's do a temp variable, and that will allow us to kind of split this text into 2 different parts, and then we'll print those to the cells. We'll use that temp as it's kind of a temporary string. So first of all, let's pull the value in. So I'll say temp is equal to txn dot cells, and I'll use the cells notation, row, comma, 2, because 2 is the column, so rows, column, comma, column. Whatever that value is, put that into temp. And once we have the temp here, let's look for the position that we're after. So because each row is going to have a different position, right? There's different length of characters for that last name. And so we need to find the position for each line. POS, let's do in string. And we'll do start at character 1 inside the temp string. And what are we looking for? We're going to look for comma space. Comma space. And that's going to be inside double quotes right there. Comma space. And let's do a stop. Let's see if we can get there. So I'll put a stop in here. I'll run my code. Give me an F5 and I am stopped. Okay, so now I'm in break mode. So let's check. I'll do question mark temp. Okay, this says Brannon Chilton. Chilton Brannon. Chilton's the first name, right? Yeah, Chilton Brannon. This is good. And I'll do a POS. What's POS? 8. So this is saying the 8th character is where it found the comma space. Is that true? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's it. So we found it. So we're at the 8th space. So this is good. So let's do a neighbor check. Neighbor, how you doing? Give me a temp and a POS. Neighbor. I feel like you don't have any neighbors. I'll be your neighbor.
I think that's really good. Just so I understand.
Yeah.
So this part, when we were going over what was it? When we were going over the previous thing when it was like
The in string.
yeah, when we were doing the 1 comma.
Yeah, like right here. 1 comma
So-
temp.
My question there was when we were doing this, switching this to 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Remind me what that was actually changing.
Yeah, good question. That's the start character. Where do you want to start to search?
Okay.
So if we start in the 5th character, then we'll ignore the first 4 characters and start searching in the 5th character.
Okay. So then hypothetically, like if I were to do like 2, right?
Yeah.
Or run that, POS changes from 8, 3.
Not necessarily, because it'll still count from the beginning.
Okay.
It just won't include that as the answer. It'll ignore what those first few characters are in the searching for it, but it'll still tell you what that POS is. That POS probably should still be 8, even though you're starting the search in the 2nd character. Does that make sense?
Oh, is it because it's descending? Or...
Yeah, it is. I think
Oh,
you're
that's
you're in break mode, and so just playing it will just go to the next. It'll just
Okay.
run the next R. You can mouse over R. R's what, 4 now?
Yeah.
I think that's where that 4 came from. Is R is 4. Yeah, mouse over that R. Don't. Yeah, there it is.
It's like at this point in time, it's for the next.
There you go 5. Yeah, yeah. I think. Okay, how we doing? We good? Peter's staring off. Okay, just checking. I thought I lost you. he's he's still with us.
Yeah.
You're just amazed. I know. It's powerful. You hurt? BBA makes you hurt.
I woke up with borderline.
Do we have a doctor in the room? Kidney?
I don't even know.
Yeah, you might want to get that checked
Oh, that's
out. Wrong college. Wrong college.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, I'm glad it's not the VBA. How we doing? Great? Nice. Carter did something.
It's like this. Like
Oh.
races.
Click on the insert button. Does that change it?
Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
I've done that. It took me hours, by the way. I just saved you hours of your life. I feel like this is a tradition.
It's just the cheapest Microsoft option. So I guess I double the price of the meal by getting this along with it.
Whoa, you're splurging today. Splurge. How's it coming? Good. Okay, great. Okay, great. So we've got this far. Now we know what the position is. Now what's our next step? We need to split this. How do we split this? Let's come down here and before the stop, I'll say, let's go ahead and put it into this sheet. TXN dot cells are, comma, and let's use kind of the column notation. It could be a number or the column name, right? We'll do D, and this will be the last name. How do we put the last name into the sheet? Yeah, that's where we're gonna go. Which one is it? Yes, and there's a VBA function as well. Do we want to do? I guess we can do D first. Yeah. So the last name dot value. So we'll do it. The dot value is equal to. Wait a minute. Which one's the last name? Is it the first? Is it the left part or is it the right part? I mean, I see Catherine here and Lily and Giffer, Nancy, Marty. My guess is the first name is the right side, the last name is the left side. So this is going to be a left, right? So we'll do a left of which string? Well, we have it in the temp. The question is how long? And if we put POS in here, what does that mean? We know what POS is. My POS is, what's my POS? 8. So if I do this and I just click and drag my yellow arrow back up here from the stop and run this, I could do either F5 or F8. Okay, it's actually punched in there, Brandon, into column D, but it includes the comma, right? So POS is including that's right. So POS includes the comma. If I want to remove the comma, I just add a -1 that POS. Let me try it again. I'll drag this back up, hit F5, and there it is. So we have Brandon now into the last name spot. So just for kicks, if I comment out my stop, hit play, boom, it does all of them just like that. Nice. Nice. Feel the power. Feel the power. Did you do the -1? Yep, we got to get that -1. Okay, good. There's the last name. Let's do the first name. First name's a little bit different, but similar. We'll do TXN refers to the sheet. And let's do row, and this is in column C. And we'll do the value, so dot value. In this case, we're going to do the right side of this. Now, this gets to be a little bit weird. Can we just do right temp comma POS? What does that look like? Let me uncomment my stop, run this. It says, bless you, it says Chilton. Is that right? Oh, there's a space in front of it. How do we take care of the space? Bless you. Amen.
Do we do like a 1 minus?
Do we do a +1? Ooh, a +1 adds the comma. What about a -1? Does that work? Wait a minute. How does that work? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, watch this. If I comment this out, let's see if this works, right? That's kind of funny.
Well, let's just say that.
Isn't that weird?
Also, those last names, so it's just going 8
Is it going 8 in? Can anybody help me diagnose? Does anybody see this? Right, exactly. Yeah. Now this is interesting, right? Enrica looks like Enrica works, and Noella, wow, looks like that works. Wait a minute, what about this one? Diane. What happened here with Diane? Why didn't that work?
I think should you have it stop, so get,
We could do that. You want to try that?
have to put it like a loop.
Let's here, I'll take this out, and let's now that we know what to look for, we can come back here, and I'll just run this one row at a time. I'll put my stop in. There's the first row, looks good, looks good. Second row, third row, looks good. Fourth row, what happened here? So now what I can do is I can come down here, right? And I can start to debug. Okay, so what is temp? Temp looks good. What is POS? POS is 7. Is that right? We're looking for the comma.
Yeah, it's going 7.
And we're looking at Betzer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that looks right. And the last line looks good. So we know that this line is correct. And so what we're saying here is POS minus 1 is going to be 6. So it's saying take the right 6 characters. And the right 6 characters are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it did exactly what we told it to do. Isn't that crazy? What is wrong? Is that weird or what? It turns out that the first 3 names here, it happens to be that the comma space is exactly in the middle of the entire string for the first 3 names.
I figured it out using.
That's where we're going to go. You're like 2 steps ahead of me, Bryce. Maybe 3. But this doesn't work. It turns out that we're missing a step here instead of doing the right. So the problem here of doing the right is we have the POSs from the left, but we need to know from the right how many to go until the comma. So we can't actually just use the POS by itself here to go from the right. We need one more step, and that is another function, which I'm sure you've seen just like in Excel, but this is the length function in VBA, len. We're going to take the length of the temp, and we're going to subtract that. We're going to do minus POS minus 1. And what that does is that flips it around, right? We're going to take this length first. What is the total length? Then subtract minus the POS minus 1. Minus 1 takes out the comma. The POS allows, taking out from the length, allows us to know how far from the right should we go. So if I run back up this cell, or this line, hit F5 again, there's Diane. Now we got you, Diane. We got you. Diane fits, and this should work. So let me comment out my stop, hit play, and there we go. Now we get all those pretty first names and last names right there. And to Price's point, another one here, which is probably a little bit easier, actually. Similar but different. So this is another way to do this, is the mid function. So let's use the mid function on this. I'll comment this one out, the right. But so just so that you have that, so that we can use it. It does come in handy, right? Comes in handy. But for this particular situation, we can use the mid. And in this mid situation, what does that look like?
Temp, comma, POS, plus 2.
Whoa, 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 plus 2.
Because there's a space between all of them. That's what I did.
Yeah, well, oh, that's right. The minus 1 up here was saying we're going to take the comma out because we're coming from the left. When we're coming from the right, or in this case, the mid,
You have to take the comma out.
we have a comma and a space. So that's what that 2 is referring to, is wherever that position was with the comma and the space, start 2 characters after that, and then take the rest. Very cool. And the nice thing here, even though this is a mid, there is a length option here in square brackets, which is optional. So if we wanted to, and we'll do this in future assignments, if you haven't already, you can say only take a certain length out, right? I think we've used the mid before in this class when we're looking at one character. We could just say, if I put a 1 here, we would just take out one character. If we leave this blank or we don't put that in there at all, then it will just take out everything else, which is what we want, actually. So this may be, it seems a little bit easier than this approach, but it does the exact same thing. So if I run this code, it will give us the exact same results with these names. Okay, great. Let's do a neighbor check. Neighbor, how we doing? Pretty good? So good. Okay, great. We've got the first name, last name. Let's do the phone number. My thought here on the phone number is it would be great to reformat the phone number.
Without the dashes.
Well, yeah, like we had, the more common approach here is what would it be? 520-206-6847. What's that? Yeah, what's the formatting? What's that format called? I think it has a name.
I know you're like isolating the area.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't remember the name either. Looks like there's,
It's not facts, is it?
I can't remember. There is a space in the beginning of this too. So we need to account for the space. And that's the goal, is we want to kind of reformat this into this format. So from a coding perspective, let me see if I can move this over just a little bit. Let's go back here after we do the first name and before the stop again. Let's do the phone number. So let me put in a comment here just to be a better descriptor of some of my code. In fact, I can come up here and do a comment too. Last name and first name. To kind of comment out what this code should do. Yeah, what it does. And let's write the temp again. So in this case, I will say, now put into the temp the phone number. So this will be txn.cells. I'm going to do R for my row. Which column is the phone number? Let's do E. An easy way to do it.
Will this mess up the other one or no? Or not?
Great question.
We'll change it and then fix it again every time.
Great question. It'll just override it. It'll just override it. That's it. That's really important understanding for the midterm. We're using the same variable that we used before. We're done now with the first name and last name. We don't really have a good reason to keep the temp at this point, so it's okay to override it. We're just going to override it with the phone number. And it's a string. Yeah, very good. Okay, so now we're going to pull from the sheet. We'll put it into this variable, into this temp variable. And let's go ahead and do a trim. So let's do, let's see. There's a couple different ways. Let's go ahead and do a trim here just to get rid of that space first. So how do you want to do this? Temp is equal to trim temp. And that'll take out the space. That's a good first step. And then there's a function that we can use that splits this up. So we can split this phone number into 3 different parts. 1, 2, 3. We can say split on this dash to split this phone number up into 3 parts. And here's what that looks like. So we'll do, in fact, let me come down here. I'll do it in the interface. Well, I'm not in break mode right now, so I'll just write it up here. txn.cells. We're going to refer to the row, and this time we're going to refer to column F dot value. So we're going to put something back into the spreadsheet. What we're going to do is we're going to split, and that's the name of the function. Split our temp, and our delimiter is going to be I'm trying to get those things back up. There it is. Our delimiter here is going to be this dash. So temp is the phone number without the spaces because we trimmed the spaces out. And now we're just calling split on this temp string with the delimiter being, here's our second option, delimiter being the dash. And then what we'll do is we'll close this function, but afterwards, I'm going to say parentheses 1. Because I want the first one, right? I'm going to start with the first one. And so if I run this, let me uncomment my stop and run right there. If I run this, what happens? It prints this from the previous debug.print. And then, oh, but it printed 206. Okay, this is one of the weird things about split. What we're doing here when we use the split function is we're creating an array. And the way that BBA works with arrays is that the first number of the array, like the first index, starts at 0. It doesn't start with 1. A little bit weird. We'll talk about this more in a few weeks. We actually spend 2 days talking about arrays. But if we want the first element in the array after we split this, arrays begin with the number 0. And there's a good reason for it. We'll talk about it later. They start with 0. Kind of weird, but that's the first element. So then if I drag my yellow arrow back up to this line, rerun this, click F5, it gives me the 520. So there's that 520 that I want. Because what I want to do with that is I want to put parentheses around that, right? So let's do that. So now that we've got this line here, let me add a parentheses to this, right? This is what we want inside of parentheses. So I will just do I'll do double quote, open parentheses, and I'll concatenate that with this function that we just made. And then I'll concatenate that with a closing parentheses. And then I'll run that line again. What does that look like? Okay, wait a second. Now it says negative 520. What happened? Does anybody recognize that one? That's an interesting one. Why would it be negative? If I just type in here this into a cell, guess what happens? Yeah, that's how Excel thinks you want. Excel thinks you're talking about a negative number, right?
Oh, yeah.
All if a lot of accounting students would recognize that with their fancy accounting. So this is more of just a formatting thing. Please, Trevor.
Also, the question I have.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. By the way, did you guys know why there's parentheses around numbers for negative numbers? That actually goes back to like the 1300s. This is before we actually really knew about negative numbers. I think negative numbers came out in what, the 1500s or something, and they needed a way to track, um, loss of revenue, for example. In some of the when they made these big ships and they were going to China and West Indies and everywhere to create business, they didn't have negative numbers yet. So they used parentheses around numbers to denote not even a negative number, but a change, right? Really quite fascinating historically. But yeah, there's a couple different ways to do it. One way is to just format the cell. I think we can format it as a text. We could also um, add a what do you call it? A apostrophe right before it. So if we add an apostrophe before this, which makes it even more weird, then it would say keep this cell as text and don't transform it into a numeric value. That's yeah. Then it has and then it says, wait, are you sure you don't want this as a number? It's like, are you sure you don't want this? It says you should convert this to a. But we're not going to put we're going to put the whole number in here anyway, so we're not going to have to worry about that for now. We'll come back and worry about that in a minute. What we need to add to this is the second and third parts of the split, right? Yeah, an apostrophe. I say let's just leave that out for now. We're going to leave it out for now. So we need to add all three parts of the phone number. We've got the first part in there now. Let's go ahead and add the other parts. This line gets to be a little bit long, but it's good. So we have the first part. Let's add the second part. we'll do a concat, we'll do a ampersand. That's the first part. And then we'll do, let's do the split again. And we'll split on temp. And we'll split on the dash. But this time we want the second element, which is going to be a 1 after, right? That's the weird part because we started at 0. So we're going to do 0, 1, and 2. 0 is that first part of the phone number. The 1 is the second part of the phone number. And then the 2 is going to be the third part. So we'll do it one more time. Split, split temp. We'll split on the dash. And that time we'll say the second index, which is this is an index of an array. And again, we have the 0 here. That's the first part of the phone number. The 1 here, that's the second part of the phone number. And the 2 here is actually the third part of the phone number based on that split. Yeah, let me see if I can make this a little bigger. You can see the whole line maybe. There you go. That's a little bit helpful. Yeah, so now that's right. What do we need to add here to this? The dash. That's right. So now we have the numbers, but we need the dash. And there's an easier way to do this, but I wanted to show you this way first. So what we've done is we've split this 3 times, right? We put the first part inside parentheses. We've taken the second part here, and we've got the third part here. There's another way to do this, which is, and we'll comment that part out. I want to dim another variant called phone as a variable. I'm going to dim another variable as variant. This is the type that we talked briefly about earlier in the course that we shouldn't use, but there's a good reason to use it as a data type because of this function, because variant will allow us to create an array. It'll break down this phone number in 3 different parts. That's what we want. It's exactly what we want. And so we can do that at once here in one time. We can do a split on the temp, and we can do that split once when we create this variable. Now it's all split. So notice up here we were doing the split 3 times. Split once here, split twice here. We're actually splitting it 3 times. This time we're just splitting it once. And now we can reference the phone, this variable, and the different parts of this phone when we put it into Excel. So I'll create another row here of code to split this up and actually put it back into Excel. I'll do row is R. Again, this is column F. And the value is going to be, first we'll start with our open parentheses. We'll concatenate that with the first element of the phone variable. So now I'll take phone as this variable that we just split into phone. And 0 is, again, the first element in that array. It's like a list. It's like 3 different parts. 0 is that first part. And then I'll concatenate let's not do a space. Yeah, that's a good point. We'll just do the phone 1, and then we'll do the dash after phone 1, and we'll do another ampersand, and then we'll do the third part of the phone, which is going to be phone 2. And then if I come back up here and run this, I'll go ahead and stop it and rerun it. What happens? Oh, I forgot my close. What did I forget? Yeah, I forgot my closing. I forgot my closing parenthesis. Whoops. Let me run that again. Let me do this so I can get this on a page and I can see that right there. Okay, great. So I fixed it. So I added my closing parentheses and another ampersand. And now I've clicked and dragged back up to this line. So if I hit F5 again, there it is. Now that looks good. We've got our area code in parentheses. We've got the rest of the phone number. And now if I comment this out, comment out my stop, and hit play or F5, it should, boom, It should thump it all down. We could do a space. A space looks better, actually. I'm gonna add a space after my closing parentheses, just in that same text right there, right? We could add a space there. And if I run this again, it adds the space. All those numbers. Beautiful. Beautiful. Questions, comments, please.
Question, I know like for that one, you could have also like done another ampersand and done like quotation, space, quotation. Is there ever a danger of like putting too much in one quote, or if it all fits?
Yeah, I would just recommend it. That's yeah. Yeah, I'm not aware of any danger. No. I added it just right after the closing parentheses. Yeah. Inside that same, inside those double quotes. Yeah, you could. I mean, you could do another one, right? You could do an and like that. And that, I mean, that works too. Yeah, right, right. If you include it over here. Yeah, yep, same thing. Okay, great. So we've done the first, last name. We've done the phone. What's next? Let's do the address. If I come over here to the address, this has a couple of different things. We have a street with a comma, a city, comma, state. Now, because of these commas, we could do the split again. We could split on commas. That would split up the street, city, and state, but we'd still have to do something else for the state and the postal because there's no comma between those two. So let's start there. Let's start with the split with the comma. Okay, so I'll come over here and let me add a couple of rows here and let's do the address. So I'll put a note in here, address. And maybe take out this line. Okay, great. So for the address, let's do another temp. I don't need the temp anymore with the phone. We're done with that. So let's put the temp to set to that particular address. So R is going to be my row. And this is what? Column G is my address. So I'll say the value of column G, put that into the temp variable. And now that we have it in temp, let's do a split. So I'll say txn.cells row R, and this is going to be column H, I believe, is the street address. Yeah. So do column H is the street address. The value of column H, I'm going to split from temp, and I'm going to split on the comma. I almost did the dash, but I'm going to split on the comma. And I want, again, that first element, that first part. So that's going to be my 0. Because the array starts from, it's 0 based. The first part of the split, in this case, the street address, is actually indexed as index 0, starts at 0. And we'll do something very similar for the next part. txn.cells row, comma, what is it, I? Value is equal to split. We'll split this again. And we'll split on comma again. And in this case, it's going to be part in parentheses 1. This is going to be the second part of the address field. So this is going to be the city, right? So I, yep, is the city. This is good. So we have txn.cells row R, column I, dot value is equal to split. We're going to split the temp. We're going to split on the comma. But we want, in actuality, we want the second item, which is indexed with a 1. Okay, not bad. Couple more lines here for the city, for the state and the zip code. So let's do this. Let's do temp again. And this time we'll call the split of this third item. We'll do temp with comma being the split. This is going to be the third item indexed by number 2. And then inside of this temp, let's use our position string again. And let's do an in string search. But at this time, instead of the in string, there's another one called in string reverse, which is we can start at the other end. Instead of searching from the left, we can search from the right. And the benefit here from searching in a reverse function is that that might be good too. Go 5 or 6 back. 5 back would get it. That's a good point. That's a great point. You could do that too. Let's try that. But I was going to say, in this way, the reason why we have to go backwards on this in-string reverse is because of example like this. There are situations where a space is part of the valid state name, right? In other words, if we were to just go in string, I want you to start at the first character. I want you to do the temp, and I want you to find the space, right? It would find the space in between new and York. And so it would split new and York, but we don't want to split there. So one way to do this is we could do an in-string reverse and say, find the space inside temp. We don't need the one here. The in-string reverse says, just find this space inside temp, but start from the end and come backwards. For example, if I were to do that here, let's see, am I stopped? Let me run this. Let's see, did I spell that right? Oh, there's 2 R's. In string reverse. If I run that here and stop it and come down here to POS, I've got position is 9. My temp is Alabama 35810. And so it's found the space and it's put that into POS. Let's see, is that right? Split temp. Nine. 1, 2. There's my Alabama. Oh, wow. Oh, I think I forgot a space here on this temp. Oh dear. Temp equals G. We're splitting temp. Now we're saying temp is equal to the split of temp, and now we're splitting. Oh, there's no the space. And we're getting the second part of that. So what is temp now? There it is right there. So we got it. Yeah, so there's multiple ways to do this. So this temp gives us that's the zip code option, right? That is the third element of the temp. And because we're splitting on space, that gives us that right there. Stop this, go back. So do you guys have this? You have a temp. In fact, let me do this. Let me put a stop here before the POS. And now if I do temp down here, I've got the trail. Wait a minute. Now this is getting even more weird. It's got trail. Wow, this is even more weird than I thought. Let me do a stop before that. Okay, there, we got it. We've got the temp. So if I stop it before this temp split here, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to split, because we've got the H and I, we've got the street address, and then we've got the city. We need to get the second item here to be the temp. Oh, that's what it is. So it is this. I think I messed this up. This temp here, we're splitting one more time. So in other words, we still need to do the third part of this, which is 2, but this does need to be comma space, or just comma rather, because it was the comma that we split on to split this up into 3 parts. So we split this up to the first part, which is the street address. The second part is the city. Now we need to do the state and zip. Excellent. Does that make sense? Maybe that just makes sense to me. Okay, somewhat. Now we're overriding the temp here with just the state and the zip. So now temp is just Alabama 35810. That's great. That's it. That's what we want. That's a good question. Does that have space? Ah, good point. If we split on the comma space, that'll make a huge difference. So if I come back up here and split on the comma space here, comma space, and comma space here, that is going to take out that space. Very cool. Nice catch.
Wait, so put a space after all the commas?
Yeah, exactly. So I've got a space after this one, a space after this one, and a space after this one. Nice. That might, yep, very good. And let me restart it here. I'll hit stop. I'll hit play again. And now the temp is Alabama with the zip code, but without the space in the front. Beautiful. Whew. Okay, great. So this point, now we can do the reverse string. And when we run this one, I'll take out the stop. When we run this one, the POS should be 8. Wait, 8? Yeah, really? There's our temp. We have the state and the zip. And and then we can, oh, I think I'm mixing up 2 different ways here. The other way that Spencer was saying is, hey, why don't we just do this? Why don't we just take the right side of that and just do 5 of that? So if I take out the POS and if I do temp is equal to right temp length of 5, that's going to give us the last 5 digits. And that gives us a zip. Beautiful. So we could do this. Let's do this then. We'll say txn.cells, row R, column, what's the zip? K dot value is equal to the right 5 digits of the temp. And then for the state, we can do txn.cells, row R, comma, let's see, was it L? J, comma J dot value is equal to, we want the left, right? But we don't know how many characters to go on the left. How many characters do we figure out? We could do temp, comma, and then we could do the in-string function, and we could say start at 1, use the temp, and then look for the space, and then subtract 1. Whoa, is that too crazy? That's a little bit crazy, right? Raise your hand if you think that's a little bit crazy. Or if it doesn't like it. Yeah, we're looking for Oh, the temp's changed. So the temp is the zip code now. Yeah, that makes it hard. It's not going to find a space if the temp is zip code. How do we find the state? Maybe I have to stop it.
Just throw this one before the, before it's 15. Copy and paste it.
I think it worked. I had run it and then I changed my code, but now it works. So it worked if I restart it.
Because we're not.
Right.
Is this code anymore?
Correct. Yeah, I overwrote the temp and then I decided to put that right into a cell directly. Yeah, that's right. So if you stop it and then rerun it, then you should have Alabama's estate and 35810 as the postal right there. So let's do a neighbor check here. How we doing, neighbor? Pretty close. We did, that was a lot there. I did a lot of rewrite there. How we did? Did we stay up to date? Question?
So I got an error saying that this type was in section.
Yeah, I think try TXN. I think it's just misspelled.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, try that. Andrea?
I don't know what's wrong with it.
Okay, this looks good. Temp cells, H, I, split temp, comma, space, 2. Because we're doing 0, 1, 2. Yeah, I took that temp out.
Oh, this one?
The one above that one. No, right above that one. Yeah, take that one out.
A whole
Yeah,
line?
just the temp word, yeah. And then I replaced that with txn.cells. Let's see, what was it? Is that the K one? Oh wait, you do have that one. GHI. No, there's a temp there. What am I thinking? No, you're right. That's temp. I was thinking something else. Temp is equals split temp, comma. You got the comma space and 2. That's right. Oh, and the one after that is the one. So the one in blue up there, you were right. Is the second temp. So take this temp, the second one, and replace that one.
Oh, so this line, is it just, do I already have it right here?
That's it. That's it. That's it. Perfect. And,
Okay.
nice. Nice. Yeah, I did some iterations on that. I apologize.
So we don't need to error.
This is J, so you're working on the J one. That values to the left. Oh, I think you need an open parentheses after the left. There it is. Oh, wow. Nice. That looks good. Yes, that's the next step. Kathleen, how's it coming? Okay, yeah, so you're just stopping. So if you comment that line out with little apostrophe, yeah, perfect. And then it should go all the way through. Nice.
What happened with?
That's a good question.
Do I erase everything?
You could just rerun it again, just overwrite everything. That could work too. Let's try it. There it is. Nice. Okay, great. Jacob, Carter, Branch. That's what you get for sitting in the back of the class. Oh no. I've done that. That's painful.
So is the thing we're talking about that have some of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me see. Where are we in time? I want to make sure we have leave some time for questions for the homework. But yeah, so this next problem here is I don't see it yet, but if I comment out my stop here, and then if I run the whole thing again, what is this, line 10? There is a, yeah, anything with a 0 in the front. That's right. So one way to do this is to use this string function. And let's see, this is the K cell, right? This is the K column. So let's do this. Should we do that trick where we add the apostrophe? Man, that looks really weird on the string. But I've got double quotes surrounded by a single apostrophe. and then the ampersand, that's right. So I'm just concatenating that single apostrophe in front of the right 5 digits of the temp.
Did the trick, so then it format, and then it says it like, it does the Excel error.
It gives you a little green a green triangle, right, in the top left of each cell. Yep. Yeah, and then you could go back and format that if you wanted to, format the column as text. There's some other ways you could do that. Excel automatically thinks you want a number. Yeah, it didn't work because it just knows, right? Even if you format as a string inside, this is like change it to a string is what this function is. Even if you do that, it'll still Excel thinks you're gonna get you really want a number, and so it doesn't work. Even if, and that's just the Excel, yeah, yep. So yeah, if we do this where we say, let's add an apostrophe right before it, do an ampersand, then you have the zeros in front, and now it is a string. And then you could select all of these. I think you can do select them all and then ignore the error that gets rid of the green. You could also format the column as well, but that keeps the 0. So now we have the 0 front end. Okay, great. Let's see. We have about 10 minutes left. Would it be more helpful to do the email as a part of this exercise and kind of parse this email out here? Or would it be more helpful to actually start the actual homework? Do you guys have any questions on the homework first? Maybe we'll start there. What questions do you have on the homework? Yeah, should we pop it open and see what it looks like? Just so you can see what the assignment is. Let me save this guy real quick. And if we go back here and we open up the parse email assignment, oh yeah, that's right. I did do a video on this. But basically the assignment is, oh gosh, let me save it as, let me unblock it. Properties, unblock, let me open it up. And go to Atlas instruction sheet. Parse an email address. There's a specific sub procedure named get email address. An input box is displayed that prompts the user to enter an email address. Use the input box function. The text shows cell A1 of the active sheet. Email address entered by the user shows B1. You can use the button labeled get address to see if your code works as specified or as expected. Be sure to specify all cells exactly, character by character. Also, there's a sub-procedure named process email address. Modify that sub-procedure to accomplish the following. The text, position of at with the colon, shows in cell A2 of the active sheet. Okay, does that make sense? So you're going to add this text into cell A2 of the sheet in your code. You guys know how to do that, right? Any question there? No question there. The ordinal position of the at symbol is shown in B2. If, for example, if the user entered chrisp@bacon.com, cell B2 would show 7 without the quotes because that is the ordinal position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the ordinal position. The text username colon shows in cell A3. Text to the left of the at symbol shows in cell B3. So Chris P without the quotes. The text host name shows in cell A4. Text to the right of the symbol should be in cell B4. So in this case, bacon.com without the quotes. Once you're done, submit it. Be sure that all columns labels in column A are written exactly as specified for full credit. Some students forget the colon here, or there'll be lowercase letters instead of uppercase letters, or they'll forget some spaces here. So you just need to make sure that you have it exactly as specified. Any other questions? What's that? Yeah, what's the question on task 1?
So, through your
Yeah, that's right. Modify the sub procedure to accomplish the following. Input box is displayed. Do you guys know how to do input boxes? I don't think we've talked about that yet, have we?
well, I think some of these so, the stuff you can go through your I like it. I don't know the input box.
Okay.
It has those.
Let's look at that. So if I do range A1.value is equal to, and I'll say email address with a colon, and that solves this first option, right? Or the second one, the text email address should show up in cell A1. And then the other thing it wants from this is we want to prompt the user. So if I do a comment here, prompt the user for an email, and we could do range let's do B, what was it? B1 dot value is equal to, because this is going to be in the B1 portion. Let's say input box. And we'll say, please enter your email address. And this is the prompt. And we'll give it a title. And then here, down here are all the options, right? For this input box option. So we'll just give it a prompt. Prompt is the required one. Title is optional, all these other options. And I will close my parentheses. And now if I run this on my sheet, it should show me this input box. There it is. So please enter your email address. And it should put it into B1 right there. Look at that. That's beautiful. So here we have range A1.value email address, range B1.value input box. Please enter your email address, and then it, in that same line of code, it takes what you put into that input box and puts it into cell B1. Okay, great. I think that's a good start. I think the stuff we've covered today should help you with all of these numbers down here for this second part. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, great. I will dismiss class and we'll talk to you guys on Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Good work. Whew, good job. Yeah, it doesn't really affect this class. So yeah, good question. I know. That was weird. Right. Yep, not this semester. Good job. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff today for the midterm, for the homework, for projects. A lot of good stuff. Good work. Good job. Thanks, everybody.